Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today we're going to discuss the 15 places you can move in 2020 with zero personal tax. So just quick qualification. These places are places where personal tax is zero. There may in some cases be some corporate tax, so it might or might not, although most of them don't have corporate tax. That may be the case. And they're not necessarily all zero VAT, although again, some of them might be. They usually are making money from something like tourism or import duties or something like that, but that may not affect you, certainly if you go and live there, as well as they may have some sort of property taxes, etc. So with that in mind, since people are often asking, hey, where can I go that I can pay no tax? Let's dive in. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notifications bell. Really appreciate your support. If you'd like help with where to relocate, getting residencies, citizenships, forming companies, opening bank accounts, etc., please reach out to us. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer, link in the description below, or send a message to our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com. Okay, so unsurprisingly, a large share of these are Caribbean or thereabouts tax havens. In fact, 7 of them are there, and we're going to start with those. Now, the first 2 that I'm starting with are ones that it's somewhat a little bit tricky to say that they're zero tax, because although they are zero tax, often depending on the terms under which you move there, you may end up paying some tax, okay? So the first of these is Anguilla. Anguilla has a couple different programs under which you can end up for a period of time paying some tax, but it is technically a zero tax country. And in fact, if you want to go and get an Anguillan passport, it can be a pretty attractive tax regime for a lot of people. It's also the best beaches by a lot of people's standards in the Caribbean, so very cool. The second place that is similar to this is Antigua. Now again, Antigua is a zero tax country, but they do have a regime where you end up paying $20,000 flat tax. And so depending on how you go in, that can be one of your situations. Now, to go beyond that, we have what we would call the big brother of Anguilla, which is British Virgin Islands. Now, I call it the big brother because a lot of the rules in Anguilla were adopted from British Virgin Islands. So British Virgin Islands is the biggest place for forming companies historically. They had up to 625,000 companies back in the day, and it is also pure zero tax. The next one, which you're probably familiar with, is Bahamas. Beautiful place, some of the best beaches I've ever seen in terms of like the quality of the sand, incredible. They're also not that difficult to get residency if you're willing to make an investment there. Zero tax across the board is Bahamas. After Bahamas, what do we come to? We come to perhaps the most famous Caribbean tax haven, one of the places that is pretty much synonymous with tax havens and zero tax, and that is Cayman Islands. So Cayman Islands is not inexpensive by any stretch. It's an expensive place to live, but it is probably the most affluent place. It's famous for hedge funds and other financial services in the area. Probably the only really sophisticated one in that regard in the Caribbean, and it is pure zero tax. So again, if a person's interested in living there, I know a number of people who do live there, and I actually have some friends who are looking at moving down. So some of the Caribbean islands are a little bit iffy on whether people want to go there, but this one seems to be pretty popular. A lot of people go and live there long term. If we move on from there, let's just take a little bit of a detour. It's not actually Caribbean, but it is in the region. We have Bermuda, okay? So Bermuda, again, very developed, known for its insurance industry, beautiful place, also super expensive, one of the most expensive in the world, and it would be yet another place that is zero tax. The next we're going to talk about is one of the very popular places for people to get citizenship, and this is St. Kitts and Nevis. So St. Kitts and Nevis, also a zero tax country. And with that in mind, that pretty much covers us off on the Caribbean area. So just quickly to recap for you, so we're keeping track. We have Antigua and Barbuda, we have Anguilla, we have British Virgin Islands, we have Bahamas, we have Cayman Islands, we have Bermuda, and we have St. Kitts and Nevis. So that is 7 down of our 15, so it means 8 left to go. Where do we go from here? Let's slide over to the South Pacific, also a very popular place to get citizenship, one of the most flexible citizenship options, I think very common with people from China and various different parts of Asia. partially probably because of the visa-free access, which is pretty good for people who get citizenship within that Asian region. And this is Vanuatu. So Vanuatu, again, a zero tax place. That is our number 8 on our list. Number 9, almost nobody talks about. I've kind of looked at various different people's videos and research, etc., where they talk about it, and they really overlook Brunei. Now, not a lot of people seem to want to move to Brunei, etc. It's not especially popular in that regard. But this being said, Brunei is also a zero tax place that you can go and live in. This brings us to the other cluster of zero tax places, and the first 2 of these are a little bit tricky because they're zero tax for employment income, but if you have business income, then you end up getting caught in various corporate tax things. And this is, first of all, Saudi Arabia. So certainly there's a lot of people who go to work as contractors, and that's really been very difficult historically to immigrate. In fact, it's been difficult even just to visit Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia is another zero tax place, and so that's really great for people who live there. The other one, which is very similar in terms of the structure of their rules, is Qatar. Qatar is certainly more open than Saudi Arabia, but definitely not as easy a place to move as some. And there are kind of some cases where you're going to fall under the corporate tax net with Qatar. Beyond that, a place that, again, people don't talk that much about, but can be pretty interesting, is Oman. Okay, so Oman also zero tax. And this brings us to the next one, which doesn't get talked about that much, but actually has a pretty attractive residency program, is zero tax and quite conveniently located. This is Bahrain. So for those of you who aren't familiar, very close to UAE is Bahrain. The one after that, kind of the final one on our list before we take a little detour and then return, is Kuwait. So for those, again, who are following, we had number 8 on our list was Vanuatu, number 9 was Brunei, number 10 was Saudi Arabia, number 11 was Qatar, number 12 is Oman, number 13 is Kuwait. We have only 2 left to go. So what are your guesses? The next one we'll talk about, we'll go to the only truly zero tax place in Europe, which is Monaco. There's a bunch of places with favorable taxes. There's a bunch of places where, there's some way by which, based on the type of income, you might pay zero tax, but just as a pure zero personal tax place to live, you have Monaco. And this brings me to our final entrant, the 15th on the list, which is arguably the new Monaco, the place where I'm sitting right now, which is United Arab Emirates. So there you have it. Those are the 15 places. If you just want to have simple, very straightforward, no BS, zero tax to go to, these are the places. Now, of course, there's a bunch of others that we talk about in other videos, ways that you could, go and live in certain places and pay no tax, or maybe they have no tax on foreign income or no tax on capital gains, etc. But if you just want plain zero tax as an individual, these are the 15 places in the world you can go. So let me know if you have any opinions on these. If you think, hey, I like this one, I dislike that one, I didn't know about this one here, let me know. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.